Yeah. When I pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me. Yeah. Gon' hate on me. When I pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me. Yeah. Gon' hate on me. Yeah. Pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me. Yeah. Gon' hate on me.
Yes. We thank you for lending your ear to this sound. It's the Biscayne Breakdown. Of course, we got my man Deem in the building. We got Kev in the building.
Yep.
New intro energy. I knew y'all saw that. We shouted out to Joe for coming up with that, for putting that together. You know how we do. When we pull up on the scene, they gonna hate on us. We just try to give y'all that real, that raw, that authentic Miami Heat content. We know why y'all came. We just try to deliver. We appreciate y'all for continuing to grow with us, continuing to rock with us. Like I say, like, comment, share. But again, to introduce my people, man. Say hello to the people, Kev. How you doing out there?
Man, I'm always good. It's a great Saturday. Been enjoying my college hoops, but I'm glad to be here rocking with y'all. Of course, Biscayne Breakdown. You already know what it is. Glad to be back. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, I know if it's college hoops going on, you watching it or whatever. That man loved college hoops more than he loved the Heat. I'm gonna be honest, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, we brought him on to talk Heat ball, but again, he loved himself some college hoops. Speaking of college hoops, we got another guy who, although he snowed in, say he gonna do what he got to do to get to a game that's at 8 p.m. and we're recording this at around 3:30. So he's 4.5 hours out, snowed in, talking about going to see some hoops. I mean, that's dedication. Say hello to the people, Deem, and how you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing good. Ready to go to this Nova game later on versus UConn. You know.
Y'all see what I'm saying? Snowed in. So he gonna make it through the snow to go see Nova and UConn, like a classic Big East-esque matchup. I guess that's worth going through the snow for. Listen, man, we all know why we're here. Let's get right to it. The Miami Heat, wow. Coming off two very unfortunate losses, and unfortunate for different reasons, although any loss is unfortunate. But you look at the way that these last two happened, and they're of the most unfortunate of circumstances. When you look at the first one, a loss against the Toronto Raptors that actually occurred on Wednesday night. Am I correct? Wednesday night, fellas? Yes, sir. We're coming to you this Saturday. Right, we're coming to you Saturday around 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, of course, with Kev being in the West. So that's 12:30 for him, for all you people that's interested in things like that. But the Miami Heat's last two games, with the first one we're going to discuss being on Wednesday against Toronto Raptors, I mean, flat out blitzed. I mean, there's nothing you can say about it. The Toronto Raptors came out hitting shots. The Miami Heat came out and couldn't hit shots. And that pretty much was what it was. And you think at some moment the Raptors would absolutely slow down from the tear that they're on. But Gary Trent Jr. took it upon himself in that second half to make sure that they continued to make three-point shots at such a clip that the lead was just an insurmountable one for the Miami Heat. And when you combine that with what everybody else was able to get done throughout that game, it just led to something that the Miami Heat weren't able to come back from. Even though they did give a valiant effort, that came up short in the end. Speaking towards that Toronto game, fellas, what are your thoughts on just your overall thoughts on that game? If you could describe that game in about 30 words or less, and not that you're going to stick to it because neither of you can do that. I'm just trying to give you the idea of what we're looking for here. In 30, you know what I mean? If you had to do 30 words or less, or around 30 to 45 words, how would you describe that game? Let me hear your thoughts, Kev.
Man, I'm glad you said 30 words or less because I was going to keep it real short and brief. I just think through an 82-game season, bro, you're going to have games like this. Now, I'm not giving them any excuses because they look flat. They look bad. They look like they took the Raptors for granted because they made the Pascal Siakam trade and what if and whatnot. But it was bad, bro. Like, it was just bad. And you got to tip your cap to the Raptors because they were hooping. You know what I'm saying? They did what they were supposed to do. But we look lethargic. We look like we had no energy. We look like we didn't even want to be there. We look like we weren't on the road and we were just trying to go through the motions. And the final score indicated that to the fullest. So I'm going to chalk it up to just a bad game. Again, you're going to have those, but you can't have too many of those because that shows the signs that you're not a good team. But I don't think they are a bad team. It just, you have games like that sometimes.
I counted, Kev, and that was probably like 92 words, but I digress. No, I'm joking, bro. So if y'all notice, I covered my cup when I took a sip. I'm gonna just do this one time and get out of the way. I'm always drinking something warm when we doing the pod. And it's typically out of a Cowboys cup. So I'm just respectfully gonna take my L and cover that up, and now we all can move on. To your point, Kev, typically when a team makes a trade, and they were alluding to it all night on the broadcast, typically when a team makes a trade, you got that team coming in juiced up. One, because things have been shaken up. Two, sometimes, that's why you hear the cliche, we just need to shake things up, because often change brings about one or two things. Either they're going to fall deeper into the hole that they've been in, or they're going to show some life, the life needed to come out of that hole. And it's about how long that life can go on. But a bigger part of that, and again, as the broadcast, the Miami Heat guys, Eric Reed and John Crotty mentioned, shout out to them for being so explanatory here. You have guys looking at open minutes. You have guys looking at a situation where it's like, whoa, wait a minute. There's an opportunity for me to step into that role that has now been vacated by the guy that we left. And what you saw was, a team full of guys that everybody wanted to eat. And I'm going to tell you who impressed me before we let Deem go really quick. Michael Porter Jr., brother. I was like, wait a minute. He got a brother? He got a brother that ball?
Multiple.
Right. He only played, I think his other brother in Denver right now. That's a different story. He got a lot going on with him, but either way. This brother right here, he only played maybe 15, 20 minutes. But what he did with his energy, he was able to be a big body and a presence. And he nailed some outside shots at 6'10" that you really like to see. So, just thinking about guys like that, man, it was a situation where the Miami Heat ran into a complete buzzsaw. I can't argue with you one bit. Dean, what you got on this game, bro?
I'm gonna keep it short too, man. It was just pathetic. Like that game, like Kev was right though. It's 82 games. You're gonna have stinkers like this, but it was just bad. Like it was just bad all around. Shout out to my guy Gary Trent. You know what I'm saying? Ex Blue Devil. He made like what 9? I think 9 threes. Was it like 9 threes? I think he made 9, 10 threes, something like that. It was
A
just
bunch
like
of them, bro.
yeah, like it was just a bad game all around from the team. Like the whole team just had a bad game from Tyler to Bam. It wasn't just a Jimmy. It wasn't a good outing at all. I think we made like what 18. We had 18 points in the first quarter to like they 41. That was like that right there killed it all. That first quarter killed it all. Like it just killed it all. And like they would play this bad when I bet on them. The spread was like 3, and them boys, it was just like pathetic, man. That's why I never bet on
I
Miami.
could
I
say
never
that.
pick Miami.
Not to cut you off, bro. I could say that, but I think I bet on Miami every night. So I don't know if that
I
theory
don't.
will work for me. Yeah, well, here's the thing though. Like, for all the disrespect that Miami get, right? It's never like a straight up money line bet or nothing like that, because like you can never get good odds. Like they either always heavily favored or right there even, where like it's, what I'm saying, at best even money, or you betting $1.10 to win back 90 cents. So I had to go like untraditional bets, like points, assists, rebounds, combos, stuff like that. But no, I always bet them, man. But you're right. I bet them in this game, and I was thinking to myself, I should have bet everybody on
It was
Toronto
-3,
because
bro. Like,
they had totals in the first quarter.
yeah. That Gary Trent was 2.5 threes. Like he made that in the first 8 minutes of the
His
game.
points, assists, rebounds total was like 19. Like they expected 19 total.
Shout out to my guy Gary Trent though, man. Ain't no hate over. I was actually cheering for you, bro. Like, once them first 3 went in, I said, "Oh yeah, come on, it's gonna be a night." Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie, bro. Like to keep it all the way 100. Once that first quarter came, it was like I turned into a Raptors fan. It was just like I'm going for my guy Gary Trent. Like I'm being 100% honest. I ain't going. Listen, I lie for you before I lie to you.
Well, I do appreciate that.
That's my guy.
To close a little bit on the Raptors game, man, it was a situation where one team came in ready to prove a point, like say, ready to capitalize on the moment, ready to go and do what they had to do in order to make sure that they showed their coach that they weren't going to falter back because they lost guys, that they were going to indeed step up and somebody was going to try to do their best to fulfill those minutes. Back to your points, Dean, when you look at that box score, Gary Trent Jr. went 8 of 9 from 3. 10 of
You went
13
8
from the
for
field.
9.
You had 8 of 9 from 3. That's
Oh,
89% out there for the people that ain't keeping track. That means he shot 9 threes, and of the 9 threes he shot, 8 of them, all but 1 of them went in. Now, if you're doing the
I
math,
feel like he
that's
made all
24
of them.
points right there. That's 20. Well, because it does feel like he made all of them, and the one that he missed probably was some inconsequential shot. I mean, when you look at, like I said, Jonte Porter, he was 2 of 4. Emmanuel Quickly, 3 of 6. When you look at Dennis Schroeder, he was 3 of 5. You look at Grady Dick, he was 2 of 2 from 3. I mean,
Shout out to Greedy Dick.
sometimes,
That's my
bro,
guy.
I'm still not over that jacket. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You run into a situation where you just not going to beat the team. And again, I noted it at the end of the first half. The Miami Heat weren't going to shoot that poor in the second half. They didn't shoot much better, but they weren't that poor. It's like a sort of similar concept as they experienced all of last season heading into the playoffs. And I had been noting it then too. When you're that bad, things have to flip. And that's kind of what happened at the end, even after getting within 13 in that game. I mean, they got it to within a manageable margin at a very manageable time. Like they had plenty of time. I think it was like early in the third or midway through the third, they got it down to 13. But then they failed to get the stops that they continue to need in order to make that a winnable game. And that's just kind of what happened, man. You hate to have games like that. You know why you got that performance from the Toronto side. But as Kev said, you absolutely hate to see your team give a performance like that, because when you're thinking in your mind, this team can contend. And again, we have no reason not to believe that, even if you want to take this season and throw it out the window, just based on the other 3-4 years of the Jimmy Butler tenure and what they have beside him, and of course, praying for somewhat decent health. But, these games bother you if you're thinking about winning the title. Any
Yeah,
more
but
thoughts on this game? Oh, I was
yeah,
just
I
about to
just
give you that.
some
What you
quick.
got? What you got to close on this one?
You can't take this one game and be like, oh, this team's not ready. You can go through every team, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly,
Right.
whoever is above Miami in the standings. They all have losses like this. Every championship team have losses like this. Like, it's okay. Yeah, it's a Wednesday was night regular game against the Toronto Raptors, who was like they just was they star player was heading out the door. They really had nothing to play for. Their season is going to waste this year. So it was just like they just lost the game. It was just they shot poorly. They came off the bus poorly. They sleep schedule that night was poor. So it was what it was. Like, everybody lose games like this. Every championship team lose games like this. You can't, just don't make it a habit. That's all that is.
So I started to smile near the end of your take there, Dean, because that's rather optimistic of you. I mean, I just thought I'd say it. That's right. As I say, Joel hits the group chat. Shout out to Joel El Capitan, also our producer here on the Biz Break. Joel says to the group chat, "Dean still believing in us makes me emotional," and he's in church, people. I'm sure he just caught the Holy Spirit. I'm sure his pews flipping over. I'm sure they're ready to bring out the wine and the crackers because it's a party in there. Anyway, as we move on to the next game, since you guys are done on the Toronto Raptor game, as am I, like y'all said, pretty much. Look, again, it's somewhere in the middle. I think we all pretty much agree. You hate to see it, but it isn't the end of the world. If anything, it should be a motivation to get to where we're going to get to at some point. And I guess we could use this Atlanta game to start talking about that, because that was the Miami Heat's absolute latest opponent on Friday evening. As they played against the Trae Youngless Atlanta Hawks, and took it down to the wire, shall we say. The game was back and forth. The Miami Heat found themselves up by 7 or 8 points at certain periods of the game, never able to fully capitalize on those leads and expand it like it needed to be expanded due to self-contained mistakes, or just not being able to find their offense at the most inopportune times. An issue that has been something with this Miami Heat team for, you can say, forever almost, but especially in the last 3 or 4 years, the Jimmy Butler tenure, which is amazing because even through all of that, he's found a way to drag them to the finals and Eastern Conference Finals or whatever, with the Milwaukee year notwithstanding. But with all the other success, I don't even know why we got a trip on that. I said that to say this. that Atlanta game is kind of, for me, the epitome of this Miami Heat team's fatal flaw. If you find, like, you know what I mean? If something's going to get them, like, because there's a lot of times that they can't overcome it, and they have, and they've shown us. Because as I've said, this is not just an issue that's, reared its head this year. This is the thing that gets them when they get got, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to get to my point, but Dean, when you look at how this Atlanta game played out, give me your take, man. What's your take? What are your thoughts on the result of this Atlanta game, of course, what got them there, and just how it all played out?
Honestly, like I was enjoying the game. I thought it was a pretty good game, a pretty good back and forth game. I feel like the UD halftime speech, it was pretty entertaining. I liked the halftime quote unquote show or whatever ceremony, I should call it. It was a pretty good game. It was a pretty good back and forth game. It was this is a Miami Heat basketball game. Like that's how Miami Heat plays basketball. It was a great game. But for the past 3 years, or the past Jimmy tenure, this is how they lose games. And Jimmy had a great game. He missed like a total of 3 shots the whole game, I believe. It was like 8 for 12, 8 for 10, 8 for 11, somewhere around there. And I think he may have missed a free throw later on than or beginning of the game. It's just like towards the end of games, the decision making isn't smart. And what quite got me was we didn't see that much Kevin Love minutes late in the game like I thought we was. That kind of confused me a little bit. I feel like we could have used, even though Kevin Love wasn't playing his best, but I feel like we could have used a little bit Kevin Love. And yeah, before I even got the chance to mention it, my guy Joe, he just mentioned it for me. What happened to Duncan late in the game? Duncan had a great game last night, bro. Like Duncan, he was on one last night. He was getting to his spots, knocking them down, shooting them with confidence, hands in his face, all types of stuff. Duncan had a great game last night. And once again, where was he late down the stretch? I know Kevin Love he didn't have a great game last night, but I feel like we still could have used him down the stretch. A lot of people I see on Twitter, they kind of blaming Spo for this loss. You know where I feel about Spo, but I could see where, Spo didn't make the right coaching decision last night. So I feel as though, Spo did. I wouldn't say he cost us this game, but he didn't help. He didn't help in this game. I know everybody talking about that Tyler play. It was a horrible play. I don't know if we got the video or not, Joe, and I know, Kev, you're going to speak on that a little bit more, so I'm going to let you speak on that. But I would agree with some people on the timeline saying that, Spo kind of cost them this game. I'm not going to say cost them, but he didn't help. He didn't make the right coaching decision.
The floor is yours, Kev.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to be honest, and when I say this, I want everybody to know out there when I say this is not an excuse. I don't do the excuses. Y'all should know me by now, right? But we're missing Jaime badly, bro. Because if I'm being honest, right, like, nobody outside of Jimmy consistently creates easy offensive looks. And obviously, it's not really that many offensive looks being generated by any team out there, unless you got like the Joker, for instance, or a couple other guys out there. But because Jimmy's so elite at consistently getting to the rim, you don't really have that, right? And as much as I love Bam, he loves that little fadeaway, mid-range shot, which is a cool shot, but I don't.
He was
prefer
missing
him.
He was missing a couple of them easy buckets too.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that even though he's slowly but surely started to master that shot, it's still a difficult shot. Like, right? Like for 99% of the league, that's a tough shot to depend upon. You don't want, if you're a coach, you don't want your players to depend on that shot. But Bam has been good at it for the most part. But even then, like, I don't blame Bam because that shouldn't really be his responsibility, right? Because he does so much for us on the other end. Y'all already know how I feel about Tyler. I'm not even going to get to that one because last time I was here, we talked about that. But I'm just saying that Jaime, the confidence that they put in him, the way that he plays, he's methodical, he's unselfish, he knows how to cut. He does so many things that just makes offense look easy, but a lot of guys in the league don't have that same acumen when it comes to offense, right? And so, again, I'm not using that as an excuse. We had this game, if I'm being honest. We should have won this game. all credit to Atlanta. Dejounte Murray, I'm sure he's hearing all the trade rumors and chatter.
Yeah.
Walked us down, walked us right down Biscayne and pulled up for three, right all up in Caleb's face, pause, and just knocked it down. Right? It was tough to watch that, but I'm not gonna knock us. Like I said, we were right there. Couple bounces went our way. We probably win this game, but again, you got to salute Atlanta, and we just got to be better, bro. We got to be better at getting looks. All right, even that last play, like everybody in the arena had a feeling that that ball was going to Jimmy. Atlanta knew it. That's why they double teamed him, right? And stuff like that happens. And Jimmy passed, and it's like you pass it to Caleb, you only have 2 seconds on the clock. So the moment you pass it, Caleb's only going to get the rock with like a second at max, right? So it's like, what can he really do? He has to just shoot it out of nowhere in front of somebody's face, and that's kind of what happened. He hesitated, couldn't even get the shot off, and so it's little things that I'm sure they'll clean up. I'm not too worried. Again, I don't want to harp on that Jaime point, but it just goes to show you that Jaime does a great job at creating really good offensive looks. That's all I'm saying about that. But they got to adjust. We've been dealing with injuries all year, from Bam to Tyler to Jimmy. Jaime is just the newest one among that list, and so now it's time for them to get it right. I definitely agree with Joel and Deem. Bro, Duncan got to play in the fourth because he's been one of our best, if not the best, fourth quarter player this season so far. So I'll end with that.
So when you look at basketball players, you look at guys that can do certain aspects of certain actions well, and we automatically want to deem them great this. Like, I'll give you an example. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give you examples on all levels. So rock with me here. And it's all coming back to how great of a point you make about Jaime. Let's take a guy like quickly. Toronto now, of course. Great penetrator, great handle, super quick, but not the best finisher, which is why he relies on the floater, which is why he relies on the runner, which is why a lot of his stuff is off balance. Tyrese Maxey is a better version of that, meaning he'll go to the cup stronger, harder. He has more dexterity there. When you look at guys like Bam and Tyler, who have two of those elements, like they got the handle and then they got the wiggle to get by you, there's something at that point between that and finishing at the rim that they're not elite at. That's what separates guys like Jimmy, separates guys like Mike, separates guys like Braun. Like, even if you, not that these guys are the same level, but they have the complete driving package. Think about that play last night. Jimmy Butler on Jalen Johnson. I mean, is it Jalen Johnson out of Duke? I'm sorry if I'm forgetting his name. Shout out to the Dookie. I want to say Jalen Johnson, right?
No. Everybody but him. Everybody but him. He quit. No, we ain't talking about Jalen Johnson. No, don't mention Jalen Johnson
sorry,
and Duke
brother.
in the same breath. But
I'm sorry,
you're
brother,
making some good points.
I get it. So if you'll notice how he walked him off, and as soon as Jimmy caught him looking at the walk-off, and I mean, it was a half second, he hit him with the wiggle, which means he got the wiggle, he got the move, he got the intellect, but he also has the fluidity that on step 2, I'm going to gather, and I'm going to explode up and finish it. That's the gift that Jaime has. And that gift is rare. Russell Westbrook has that gift. Like that's what makes Russell Westbrook special. Like, Russell Westbrook has all 3 of the components of a great driver of the basketball. And as you mentioned, having all NBA players have one of them, meaning they either got the wiggle, they got the pity pat, they got the quickness, they got the ferocity, or they can finish. You know what I'm saying? Good NBA players have 2 of them. Like I said, you got your Quickleys, you got your Tyrese Maxeys, you even, your Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway's he got the wiggle, he got the handle. He can drive, but his finishing ain't like super crazy. Like, you look at other guys that are like that, but then you have those rare guys, as we're talking about, the Jimmy Butlers for the Miami Heat, and the Jaime Jaquez's. And those are the guys that have all 3 components of the game that make you elite at penetrating defenses, and everything else, I don't care what it is. And we talked about it off air or previous episode, where if you could find an offense, or if Jaime was somehow just posted up at the free throw line in the middle, he could kill. And it doesn't matter if you set him there from the offense or if he's creating his own way to get there. That's what allows him to be so effective as a driver. Same thing for Jimmy Butler. And you're right, we're absolutely missing that, man. And that comes through not only throughout the flow of the game as the Miami Heat need points to stay within shouting distance or to build on those leads, but in those most critical times, Tommy has found himself being a person creating offense, especially while Jimmy Butler has found himself out, especially while Bam Adebayo has found himself out of the lineup. So when you think about missing that, especially in that rookie, that has hurt us. As far as last night, man, ebb and flow game, back and forth. Same thing that always reared his ugly head. At the most critical times, they couldn't find a bucket. There were too many late game moments where they didn't know what they were going to do. They forced themselves into terrible shots. They got shot clock violations. They made stupid turnovers because of the clutter offense. And then you got to try to bail yourself out. So you got to try to make a pass that you don't make typically. So the dude that the pass is coming to ain't ready for the pass. So now it end up being a turnover. I mean, there's so many things that all boil down to the fact that the best offensive players might not necessarily be able to all find their rhythm from the way that they're being deployed right now. And no matter how you want to slice it, for me, the reason you can go in and out of rhythm like that, that has to be it. Because you're doing too much your turn, my turn, and it works out sometimes, but then sometimes it doesn't. So I feel like they have to put more effort into figuring it out. And that's what I saw all throughout that game. And if you look at the end result, that's what happened. Now, people can point to the Dejounte Murray shot, but there's a lot of stuff that go into that, which we'll get into as well. But that's kind of what I saw from the Atlanta game. Like you said, missing Jaime Jaquez, and they ran into a situation where, of course, that same point led to their offense being more cluttered than it should have been, and that ended up biting them in the end because not only could they not run away with the game when they had opportunities, but they couldn't get the score that they needed to get. Couldn't even get a shot. Twice, if you want to be honest. What you got on that Atlanta game, Dean, before we move on to the next point, which is still associated, but not so much specifically targeting the game?
I think I said what I had to say about that game. It was just like, just the way Miami been losing late games. That it's hard for them to find a bucket during these late games. It was a lot of bonehead plays towards the end of that game that I know you're gonna get to it. So that's why I'm just
let me
gonna
set it
come
up
away.
first, brother. Let me
Yeah,
set it
yeah.
up. Let me set it up. You got anything else on that game specifically, Ken? Okay, Dean. Now, see, Ken, this West Coast, I tell you. Go ahead, brother.
Real quick. One of them last plays where Tyler isolated versus Jalen Johnson, it's not the way to go, bro. It's not the way
Never
to go.
did at all.
It was
At
like
all.
he cleared out the
You notice
left
I
wing.
said couldn't get shots on the last two possessions?
I just had to go back real quick, bro, because I had to be specific, right? Because again, I don't want to make it sound I'm hating on Tyler, bro. It's just you decided to isolate versus Atlanta's arguably best defender, perimeter defender at that, right? And I can understand if for like what Jimmy does, you try to get a screen and get switched off onto somebody else to make the matchup easier for you. But when you take two dribbles, or maybe even three, I forget how many, but he essentially went baseline, couldn't create separation, didn't even think about passing, still put the shot up and clearly bricked it. I'm like, come on, bro. We just got to be smarter than that, bro. You're too good, in my opinion, to be just settling for a shot like that. Worst case scenario, you pass it, get it back, and work out again. But don't just force the shot up just because you felt like you had to. Now, I could be wrong. I could go back and the shot clock could have been dwindling. I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but you could get a better look than that, bro. That's all I had to say about that.
So Kev did what I stopped you from doing, Dean, which is stepped on the toes of the next question. But, that's neither here nor there. I can't control y'all boys, man. Y'all grown men. This is what I be telling you, Joe. We got to find new people. Like, the people you got around here, Joe, they are something else. I'm telling you. But with all that being said, man, these my guys. What's wrong with the Miami Heat? Not that they're broken, but I mean, just in light of what we're talking about. If you had to say something was wrong in these moments that we've discussed of fragility, whether it be coming into the Toronto game completely unready to play, or whether it be the Atlanta game where they just couldn't find it at the time they need to find it. If you could pinpoint one critical fatal flaw, as I called it earlier, what would that be? And since you just finished talking, Kev, go ahead and finish what you were saying, because it sounded like you wanted to say it.
I mean, our fatal flaw, man. I'd say it's. I'm not. I I think Tyler Hero is a part of it. I don't think he's the main problem. I think our fatal flaw is kind of weird because it's something that is easily fixable in the sense that, let's be honest, right? Our original starting point guard in Kyle Lowry, who of course came off the bench yesterday, that's a whole other topic that I'm sure we might get into, but he's nowhere near as aggressive as we would have liked him to be since he's been here, right? That's the main thing. He just doesn't hunt for his shot enough. On top of that, the clutch struggles that we've had in the past few seasons in the regular season is large in part because Jimmy doesn't care to take those shots in the regular season, right? In the playoffs, we never worry about Jimmy taking clutch shots because we know he needs to get the ball because it's that time. But in the regular season, he defers because he wants to boost the confidence of Tyler, of Bam, of Caleb, of Nico, whoever, right? And that's kind of the thing is that when you have two starters that aren't necessarily looking to get their own shot, you're going to have games like this, right? And Jimmy, I don't really knock him because, again, we've seen the biggest of playoff highs from this dude, right? So it's like, what else can we realistically ask from him? For Kyle, it's like, man, like, if you're just slightly more aggressive, we're probably not even in that situation last night. We're probably up by 5 in clutch time instead of being down whatever we were or being tied, right? And so to me, it's just you're lacking aggression from two of your guys who are vets, who we know will help us in the playoffs. But it's just like most teams don't face that problem, right? If you're Milwaukee, I know we all hate them, right? But you know, for the most part, Giannis is going to carry you down the stretch, and then you got Dame. If you're the Nuggets, the Joker is going to carry you down the stretch, then you got Jamal Murray, right? So it's like if Jimmy's carrying us for most of the game, that means somebody else realistically has to step up and take those shots. And on some nights, it's going to be Bam, which he's shown us he can do, but I wouldn't depend on that consistently. On most nights, it's supposed to be Tyler Hero, right? And we see some of the shots that he generates just aren't high quality shots. There are shots that he can make, but again, just because he can make them doesn't mean that it's a lesser contested or less tougher shot. It's still a tough shot, right? So to me, I think it's easily fixable when it comes to just operating in clutch time. But at the same time, I'd love to see somebody else really grasp that role and run with it, whether it be Jaime, whether it be Nico, whether it be Bam, whether it be Tyler. Somebody outside of Jimmy has to start getting more and more comfortable taking those shots. And I think that's probably the main issue. And then I'll finish off by saying real quickly, too, I think the defense has been okay. I think it's taken a little bit of a drop off, but I feel like they can still improve on that side of the ball, too. I think we have a lot of individual, really good defenders, and that makes up for our lack of team defense. But I don't feel like I've really seen this team fully on a string just yet. I think they've had their moments, of course, but I think it's a lot of adjusting that they can still do on that end of the floor as well.
What say you, Dean?
Let's
One more time, boss. What you say?
ask the question again.
If you could put your
I said,
finger
ask the question one more time.
Right. If you could put your finger on what exactly, if you had to say this, if you had to name what this team's biggest issue or their one fatal flaw would be, what would you say that is?
I get what Kev was saying about the defense. I feel like the defense probably did take a step back, but I don't think that's our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is consistent offense, and I think we don't have a steady point guard who can help us give us that consistent offense. We all thought it was going to be Kyle. It wasn't. We're now in year 5 of number 14. I feel like his decision making has been the same as his rookie year. I mean, yeah, his points go up, but I'm not looking for just. I mean, that means you're just taking more shots. Honestly, that's why he's averaging 22 points. He's just shooting the ball more than he ever was. I don't think he's the number 2 option for us. I don't think he's that Jamal Murray. I don't think he's. I'm just not seeing what what everyone else is seeing from him. Like, yeah, he can put the ball in the basket, but he's not doing it at a high level to me. And that's just my honest opinion. I mean, we've seen how far we went without him in previous years. All I'm saying, Kay, and I know you don't want me to do the Tyler Hero hate, and I'm not trying to force the Tyler Hero hate train on anyone.
Oh no, brother! Oh no, brother! Do you say what's on your mind?
I'm speaking from what I'm seeing, and I've been watching Tyler Hero since, I'm not going to say his high school days, but I've been really paying close attention to Tyler Hero since his Kentucky days, and obviously even more that he's on my favorite team. I just don't. I'm just not seeing that from him. Like I'm just not seeing it. On a consistent night, he's just not that guy. He continues like down the stretch. Yes, you're going to get times. Let's go back to his rookie year. Remember when he hit that shot against Philly when they stole the ball? He pulled it back and hit that game-winning 3 against Philly his rookie year. You're going to get shots like that. Like, and that was a great shot, by the way. You're going to get shots where Tyler's going to hit the game winner. He's going to do it. Like he's going to go and we're down 4 or 5 and he go on a run and make 6 points to help us win the game. But to me, he's just not doing it on a consistent level. He's not doing it at a high level. It's just like I'm just really not into his decision making. His shot selection is bad, and at times it hurts the team. At times it hurts the team, and I understand what I think Kev. I think you were saying it. I don't know if it was you or Kay. One of y'all was saying where Jimmy wants to build confidence in him, into the guys. Tyler has all the confidence in the world. There's no more confidence he can get in himself or his shot. He might be too damn confident. That might be the problem. He might be too damn confident in his abilities. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you got to get knocked down, to your level. And Tyler thinks he's at a level to where I don't believe he's at quite yet. I'm not saying he can't get to that level, but he's just not there yet. And sometimes it does hurt the team, as it may have last night. Yeah, you can argue, Spo didn't make the right coaching decisions or have the right players on the court at the time. But I just that's just my whole thing. I think we lacking the proper point guard, and I just don't. We might not have the right shooting guard in position at times. That's
We're gonna
I'm just
get
going off what I
to what
see.
I got you. We're gonna get to what we might not have. It's actually interesting you bring that up, but just to kind of like wrap this segment of our conversation up, and to give my take on it, it's always interesting. I love it when this happens, and this is why you two guys are the guys that people see the most on this show. Of course, Deem, of course, with you of course being here, but if we're gonna have a guest on or fill in, it's mostly Kev because we all synergize, and I don't think it's group think. We're seeing the same thing differently because I think what I'm gonna say kind of like perfectly combines, the gist of what you both were saying. For me, and if I've said it once, I've said it again. It's not really so much about Tyler as it is everybody else. You have to find a way to minimize the minutes of clunky offense. And Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero can't be on the floor together without it being too clunky most of the time. Point blank period, rock rain is important. They need the same areas, they need the same touches, they need the same freedom of manipulation. Though they're going to finish it different. With Jimmy Butler planning to get to the rim, go get something on the way, or get to the free throw line, whereas Tyler Hero is more than likely going to take a runner, a tough mid-range jumper, or a three-point shot. They need the same freedom, the same touches, the same manipulation of guys and spaces on the court in order to be their best selves. Now, inevitably, you're going to have those final moments where they're on the floor together. But by that time, you hope that they're both in enough rhythm and they both have analyzed and seen enough game flow where they can both find a way to contribute in a meaningful moment, as they all did last night in those final moments before those crucial last 2 possessions. If you'll notice, Jimmy Butler hit 2 clutch buckets down the stretch. Bam Adebayo hits a big turnaround jumper. And then Tyler Hero hits the big 3. But that's one time. We rarely see it happen bout like that. So if you look at what this Miami Heat's fatal flaw would be, it's the offense bogging down at the most inopportune times. And that happens in a multitude of ways, whether that's the clunkiness and the clutter in the first unit or the simple inability to score when those top three guys are out. And I know people don't want to hear it. And that whole Kyle Lowry thing, we may get to it today in depth, but we may not. And his comments, yeah, those, to be quite frank, those were dickhead comments in light of what the situation is. And Kyle Lowry can be that way sometimes. That doesn't mean it's acceptable. But that still doesn't mean he was the right guy to pull from that starting unit. If you look at it, you allow Tyler to go be the firepower for the second unit. He can get all the shots and freedom and rock rain he wants. And you take him out of that first unit and add Duncan, because everybody else has, if you just look at it with your eyes and look at some of the numbers, have performed better when Tyler isn't in that first unit. You're not only removing the clutter and improving your first unit because of that, but you're adding firepower to your second unit and improving your second unit that way, which inevitably is going to improve your team. To your point, Kev, lastly, the Miami Heat defense have shown you at times this season that they are still the Miami Heat defense. And that's why you know they're going to figure it out, because they're the Miami Heat. But it's funny you say, and that's what I look for when I know that they're right defensively, when they're on the string. When they're all moving together, I mean, in zone, man, box and one, when they're all moving together and that don't look tight, like it's impenetrable. And of course, you might get in there, but once you get in there, then it's like, what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do? Because, when it's moving on that string like that, that's when I know they're together too. So I just find it fascinating that you categorize it like that. But that's what I would say. They need to figure out a way to sort this offense out. And somebody got to be willing to make that move. Whether that's Spo, being willing to do it because for the betterment of the team, or whether that's another guy, that has the clout or the cachet going to talk to old boy, or I know 14 ain't gonna do it himself, so I can throw that one out the window. But that's it for me, man. That's it. Anybody else got anything to say on this on the fatal flaw of the Miami Heat team before we move on?
I don't think the Kyle benching, I don't think that was bad. I don't think that was a bad move. You didn't like the move?
I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, because if you're trying something, but at the same time, didn't change much.
Yeah, you're right. It did.
At best, it didn't
I mean, but him
change much.
starting still would never change much. I mean,
I was just about to say though, if you want to be honest, we missed out on a lot of those easy opportunities and just know-how stuff that he creates. Now, mind you, you can say that others were able to do stuff to replace that, but why can't you figure out how to get them both? You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I feel I 100% get what you're coming from. I just don't think, like, I agree with you where you said, it didn't work, because I don't believe it worked. Even if we would have won the game, right, I still don't think it worked out in our favor.
No,
but
it looked the same. It looked the same.
It's the same exact thing. Like, if he was starting, if he was benching, if he was playing, if he wasn't on the court at all, same thing.
Okay, so if it's the same, then the only thing you're bothering apparently is chemistry. So why mess with the chemistry then if it don't change nothing on the floor?
I don't think. What do you mean, like moving on from him?
Well, I'm saying if you're gonna keep him, then you don't want him pissed off, right?
You gotta move him in. That's what I'm at the point to where, as though I feel like he's not helping, he's not hurting the team. You just gotta move on from him.
Well, here's the thing. Let's be fair then, both ways. Because I'm gonna say I don't think it's hurting the team yet, but then you could say I don't think it's helping the team yet. So I'm not gonna go there. But as of last night against the Atlanta Hawks, it didn't help. So we'll see moving forward if that's the choice from Coach Spoelstra. We'll see if it helps moving forward. We'll see if it hurts moving forward. But I think that Kyle Lowry absolutely adds something to that first unit. And I just think that not seeing an immediate impact last night against the Hawks, well, on Friday night against the Hawks, even though, again, there were certain things done that made up or replaced those things. I just think that the things that Kyle Lowry, the small things that he does, obviously, because we're not noticing it on the box score, the small things that he does comes through more consistently than the replacing things that were done last night. Fair?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I
Okay. Oh, not to cut you off, bro. You sure?
no, I don't want to spend too much time on it. That's why I'm just going to be quiet about it.
Facts. It's all good, brother. So listen, speaking of the Atlanta Hawks, man, we got to touch on this real quick. Dejounte Murray, how y'all feel about it? Everything we've seen, he posting pictures of the retired jerseys in the Miami Heat arena, Kaseya. He hit the big shot
That
last
mean,
night. By the way, if you look at the last possession, this ain't a bag on Tyler, but if you look at the last possession and him taking that crazy shot from the baseline, the way that rebound came off was the most awful circumstance for the Miami Heat and the perfect circumstance for him to hit that shot. That shot came off in a way where he could definitely be in stride, crossing the court on an angle, but setting him up for a shot that he's loved since San Antonio. The full speed pull up three. I mean, that's pretty much what that was. I mean, just the most awful of circumstances. But on that dude, how y'all feel about the Miami Heat potentially landing him? Do you think it can happen? Would you want it to happen? And you got to consider everything that comes along with that.
uh, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't mind if it do happen. I don't mind if it don't happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm a Dejounte Murray fan. His early days in San Antonio, I was a fan of him. I was even bigger fan of him up there when he was up there in Washington. Way back. But I don't care. Like I love to see how his game grew from when he was up in college to now, even up in San Antonio to now. Like, I was just a fan of I'm fine either way. If you get him or you don't get him.
How about you, Kev?
For me, I'm with y'all, right? I think you really can't go wrong either way. Now, I wouldn't mind him on this fit just because defensively he would fit in literally like a glove, right? He would add a whole bunch of different dimensions to that where Spo could tinker and have a lot of fun defensively. Offensively is my only concern because just like Deem, I am a big fan of Dejounte Murray, but again, he's one of those guys where he can get to the rim, but he loves to settle for that mid-range pull-up, right? That's one of his favorite. That's his most patent shot, in my opinion, after watching him all these years. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, again, on a team that already kind of struggles to
Not to
score.
cut you off, and it's a weird mid-range pull-up too because he drives and
Yep.
then he drive hard and then he fades.
Yeah.
And he
Yep.
shoot it with one hand.
Yep.
Anyway, my bad. It's weird. No, I've seen that too. It's crazy. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
Now I'm glad you said that too, because again, like I've been saying about Tyler, like I just said about Bam earlier, it's a tough shot, right? Like if you're already driving to the rim, the defense is already expecting you to go to the rim, but he stops on a dime and then he fades. It's like there's no need to, right? You rise and fire, just go straight up, straight down. It's simple basketball. So
So I guess look, not to cut you off again, but I guess I'm glad you said that because he one of those guys that I was speaking about. Like every part of the drive, besides the consistent ability to finish like he needs to be able to finish to maximize his talent. Like now, imagine if he could just jump stop and explode off 2 feet like Jimmy, or imagine if he
exactly.
could rise up off 1 foot like an
Yep.
Ant-Man or something like that. Like that's the last part, and everybody don't got that. But if he had that to counter with that one hand float, the tough shot that you mentioned, I mean, now that's super special. So you're making good points, Kevin. Not to cut you off, but you got me excited. My bad, bro.
No, you good. You good. We just chopping up as always. But with that too, you got to take into consideration if you trade for Dejounte Murray, are you confident that he's the dude that can put y'all over the top? That's the biggest thing, right? In my opinion, because me personally, again, I don't really mind if we go one way or another, but I'd rather take the risk of waiting for a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who I know could put us over the top. Why? Because D. Mitch gets us easier looks and he generates easier offensive baskets. So that's how I'd have to look at it if I was Pat or Andy or anybody in that front office. But I really don't think they can go wrong. Dejounte is a hell of a player. I think whoever Spo gets, somehow he makes it work with his witchcraft and whatever they do over there. But like I said, you really can't go wrong either way.
Spo makes them better, man. I mean, whatever type of player they are now, whatever level they're on, Spo is gonna make them better. If they're great, he's gonna make them even greater. If they're good, he's gonna make them great. If they're just a role player, he's gonna make them a starter. If they're a starter, he's gonna make them a high level starter. If they're a guy that shouldn't be in the league, he's gonna make sure he's able to get a job somewhere when he leaves Miami. Might not be much when he get there, but he's gonna be able to get another job for a year or two. Deem said he had a question for Kev. What's that, Deem?
I think I kind of already answered it, but my question was, and Kay, this for you too. Do y'all think he's the piece to help Miami get over the top?
Yeah, Kev did answer that. I'm indifferent, bro. I mean, could be. He's what they need in the starting unit, but what you're gonna have to give up is gonna hurt your bench unit. So you still got the same problem.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I seen what you was saying, and I'm on that same page. I missed something me and you agreed on in text messages, that it all depends on what you giving up to get them. Like that's just my whole thing. It's like we get them good, but depends on what we giving up. If we don't get them, hey, it is what it is. So I'm just stuck in the middle there.
Right, because like if you have to give up talent that you're counting on to go with him, then it's a moot move. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's say if they want the 2 first rounders, and then you have to give up Tyler. How y'all feel about that?
I'm gonna be real quick on this. I don't like the fact that these mediocre players, I don't like how they just is valued at 2 first rounders, 3 first round. Like I don't get that. I don't get the Siakam trade where it's like, yeah, if you feel like you're a piece away, you go in and make that trade. But not if you're the Pacers. Like he's not a 3 first rounder if you're the Pacers. You know, Dejounte Murray, he's not a 2 first rounder for any team. A lot of these players are not 2 first round player material. And that guy that Joe just named, he's definitely not a 2 first rounder material. Like, no, come on, man. Let's come back to reality. Social media is gassing these players up. I understand young Dejounte Murray got a well-known pretty girl on his sit, but he ain't no first round material, bro. Like he's a good basketball player, but no. Let's knock that down. That's not no.
I mean, and that's the thing, bro. You look at 2 things with that Siakam trade real quick. They got more. They got more. Wow, they got more for Siakam than the Bucks. You know what I mean? Than the Bucks sent back for Dame Lillard, essentially. But then also, the Pacers had to give up Bruce Brown. The thing about that is, by giving up Bruce Brown, you still set yourself back 1 piece away. So I mean, it is what it is, man. Moving on, man. We're gonna try to wrap it up here. We're getting a little long in the tooth. 5 games at 8 nights coming up, man. If you look at the Miami Heat's next couple of games from the 21st to the 29th of January, like I said, they got 5 games. So that's almost a game every day and a quarter. I don't know. It's crazy. They have Orlando on Sunday. I do know that. Then if you look at their schedule beyond that, they'll be playing Memphis, Boston. I think Phoenix is in there somewhere, and they have a couple of more tough games as well. The Knicks, oh yeah, they do have
Orlando's tomorrow, right? Orlando's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Orlando is the Sunday game. I was trying to pull the schedule up here, guys. Y'all got to bear with me. I'm sorry, but I mean, I know that anytime you have that many games in that small of stretch of time, it's going to put extra pressure on your guys. So, first of all, my first question, considering I got it pulled up, considering they have Orlando, Memphis, Boston, New York, and Phoenix between the 21st, and the 29th. Again, 8 days. Out of those 5 games, again, Orlando, Memphis, Boston, New York, and Phoenix, immediately off rip, what do you think the guys' record's going to be?
You said in that 4-game stretch?
In that 5-game stretch. In that 5-game stretch, Orlando, Memphis, Boston, New York, and Phoenix.
I'm going to go 4-1. I'm going to go 4-1. I think this stretch is going to play a huge role into what this team ends up being. And if I believe that this team is as good as they are, even without Jaime, I think they're going to somehow make it work. And I'm going to say 4-1. Why not?
That's strong. That's strong. I like it, but that's strong. What you got, Dean?
Go 2 and 3. I think they'll beat Memphis and Phoenix. I think they'll lose against Orlando tomorrow night, and I hate to say it, but I think they'll lose to Boston too. I don't know about the Knicks. I'm up in the air with the Knicks. I don't know, but for sure those are my losses. I go maybe Boston and Orlando, but they'll beat Memphis and Phoenix.
I like you guys' confidence, man. I'm gonna go 3 and 2 as well. They're definitely gonna beat Orlando. Definitely gonna beat Memphis. You know what? I'm changing my mind. I'm going 5 and 0, man. They about to go on a 5-game winning streak. I'm looking at these games. Orlando, that's a W. We own them. Memphis, they banged up, and it's one of those situations where Toronto should be good for them. Boston, we're their mortal enemies, but it really ain't no rivalry because they got to beat us more than we beat them for it to be a rivalry, or at least the same amount. We owe New York one from the in-season tournament. Phoenix, now listen, they figuring it out, but they coming to Miami. And if you know one thing about coming to Miami on a Monday night, it means you was in Miami on a Sunday night. So I just think they got a good shot of beating them too, man. I'm gonna go 5 and 0, especially coming off these last 2 losses, especially with Jimmy Butler being somewhat healthy and aggressive. I just think we need to see this Miami Heat team run off a couple of good games, and if they could do that across this next stretch of tough games, I mean, just nothing but ball every other night, which is typically good. If everybody can maintain health, you know, that might propel them to do some great things in the second half of the season. So I'm gonna go 5 and 0, man. I'm gonna go 5 and 0. Orlando really isn't a huge thing. Look, always a tough game. We talk about this every time. In-state rivals, they're a little better this year. They're taking a step back as the season has progressed a little more. But they still want to prove that they're not the little brother in the state. Again, always a tough game, but the Miami Heat should be able to go in and quickly handle that business against them on Sunday. Might not be a blowout, but they're still going to eventually win the game by 7 or 8 points in the last couple of minutes. Anybody different from that?
No, sir.
Nah.
Glad that sound about right. Okay, so when you look at that next game on the schedule, they did have the Memphis Grizzlies. So when you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, I don't think Desmond Bane's playing. I don't think Marcus Smart will be playing. Of course, John Morant won't be playing. Now, you do got Jaren Jackson Jr., and you do got Sandy Aldama, and you do got Vince Williams, and you do got some of them other cats that's stepping up over there. And I love to see that from them cats because I like the light of them young ballers over there they got. I like the boy Roddy. They got a lot of young ballers over there. But at the same time, coming off these back-to-back losses that Miami Heat have come off, they should have the mentality that they're not going to lose these winnable games. A team that shouldn't beat them at this particular juncture, especially after going through what they just went through in the last 2 games specifically, they should have the mindset for at least the next week or so that no team that isn't supposed to beat us is going to beat us. And that's how I feel like they're going to approach that Memphis game. Anybody got anything, different from that?
No, I don't want to speak about Memphis. All they rappers and people just keep dying in Memphis. It's sad.
Oh, okay, brother. Way to make the tone a little darker. We're gonna move right on to.
No, I mean, because Memphis is like a dark place right now. They basketball team suck.
Yeah.
All they people dying.
Wow, they fired they fired Vrabel, one of the best coaches in the league. Well, that ain't Memphis, but you know what I'm saying. It's
Tennessee.
I'm sorry. Joe just hit the group chat with oh my god. Listen, Boston. I'm gonna let y'all get the first take on Boston. We're not gonna go much beyond this. I rushed through the first 2, so we can get here and spend a couple of minutes on this one. Boston, the floor is yours, Dean. How you feel about the Boston game? What are you looking to see in that one? I know they got 2 to go, so we ain't gonna skip ahead, but that's always a barn burner.
Boston. I hope we can beat Boston. It's gonna be a game, but I don't know if we honestly, is we ready to beat them right now?
Boston K, I'm mad that UD apologized for his comments the other day. There was no reason to do that, bro.
No. He didn't apologize to Boston fans. He apologized
he called
to
Bill Russell's family.
Russell.
Yeah. But still,
I didn't Boston.
Exactly. I didn't see the need to apologize, but that's for him. But we're gonna beat the Celtics. I'm more than confident in that game. I think obviously, yeah, they're on a heater. They finally lost their first game at home this season, but I know that game is in Miami, so I expect us to do what we always do. It's gonna be a slugfest. It's gonna be a dogfight, but I expect us, per usual, to come out on top and win that game and get the dub and keep it pushing.
They lost to a Denver team who on the previous night lost to a Philadelphia 76er team. So, I mean, there's a lot going on there. A 76er team, I mean, even though without Joel Embiid, but we handled on Christmas. So that's neither here nor there. Here's the thing about that, bro. When it comes to the Boston Celtics, we know this Miami Heat team is always going to be ready. Always. They never look across from the Boston Celtics, unless it's that middle 3 games in the playoffs. But we're not talking about that. They never look across from the Boston Celtics and not be ready. And with the Boston Celtics being as good as they are, you got to imagine this Miami Heat team is going to come in and try to get a win. Now, here's something else we got to watch. Who's playing for the Boston Celtics? I mean, unless something freaky happened for us. Now, we know our guys actually have to get hurt, and we don't want that to happen. Can't cross my eyes. But what I'm saying is Kristaps Porzingis could be sitting out just because. Like, he could just sit out, maintenance. So we got to make sure he's playing. And we got to make sure that all those guys are, able to go off at the same time. Because when you look at it, that's been a thing for them. They also, maybe you say they're getting enough based on their record, but when it matters the most, are they going to be able to get all their guys going the way they need to at the same time? Because I don't know if Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis have all had a game where you'd be like, you know what? Everybody played well tonight. I don't know if they've had that. And you're probably going to need that in order to beat the Miami Heat 7 times in the playoffs. Just saying, 4 times in the playoffs, but beat the Miami Heat in a 7-game series, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Like I said, 5-0, baby. I ain't really got nothing else to say about it. That's how I feel about it all. That's what I said. That's what it's gonna be. Anybody else got anything to say on that 3-game stretch, specifically closing with the Boston Celtics? You, Dean, you got anything?
Nah, I'm good.
For sure. Well, look, man, we ain't gonna hold y'all much longer. It's football on. It's 1:32 over there on the West Coast. So Kev still got a whole day before him. I know Dean got to find his snow boots, find him a snow plow, find him somebody to come snow the shovel and everything out his yard so he can get to the Nova and UConn game. And remember, Dean got paper. Dean got paper, everybody. So Dean got the bread. But we're not talking about that. It's a beautiful day, man. Miami Heat coming up back-to-back L's, but they got 5 opportunities across these next 8 days to redeem themselves, and they're 5 great, 5 amazing opportunities. And you're right, Joel. Dean isn't like the guy, DeAndre Ayton, who's trapped in his house and can't come out to play an NBA game because of ice. But I digress. We're not going to say new us, man, but we do got new music, new intro, new outro music. Again, shout out to Joe for that. If you didn't know, that's me on the music. You can check me out on any of your platforms, DFSs. That's K.CIRRUS, K Serious for all y'all out there. Listen, speaking of checking us out, follow Kev. It's on the screen at Kevu Mufasa 7 on Twitter. Follow Deem at BL Deem on Twitter. Follow me at K_Say_K on Twitter. Follow the network, of course, HVTW. On Twitter, you can always find it by looking up that. I can't remember the rest of it. Forgive me, Joe. But listen, man, you know how it go. We thank you for coming around. We thank you for lending your ear to this sound. That's Kev. That's Deem. I'm K. And this is the Biscayne Breakdown. We out.
Yeah. When I pull up on the scene, dead fresh and casket clean, they gon' hate on me. Gon' hate on me. When I